Good morning, and welcome back to Coffee and Crypto Live. Hey guys, let's try that again. Wow, what a story. I have a story to tell you guys. Let's try this intro again. Hey guys, what's going on? Jeb here, and welcome back to Coffee and Crypto Live. This is your weekday morning show where we bring you the latest and everything Bitcoin and cryptocurrency. And in today's episode, we're going to be talking about Bitcoin and why it is not moving. We had a very eventful weekend. I will fill you in on some of those details a little bit later, but you guys are here for crypto. Over the last 24 hours, Bitcoin has done nothing. Wow, that's something that we haven't seen it do in a long time. Just kidding. Of course, we have seen it do quite a lot of that as of late. Bitcoin is doing a whole lot of nothing. We've been trading sideways for the better part of a month, and Bitcoin has continued to move sideways through that time. Why has that happened? What's the story there? And what may happen to help us out of this range, and where may we go next? Got a lot of technicals up here in my mind. I'm going to share them with you today. But let's address the elephant in the room, or I guess the room that I'm in. Why am I sitting in one of the rooms of my house? First and foremost, we made it home safely. We had a lot of driving yesterday. And it's not so much that we got home yesterday. We got home at 4 in the morning. So, as you know, we were going to go on a vacation. We had to go 3 days early because Hurricane Idalia was threatening our house. We are now back in our home, safe and sound. Everything's fine. Forgive me for the next 2 minutes of explaining personal details, and we'll get right into crypto. I know you guys are going to wonder what's going on. And good morning to everyone in chat. Good morning, Sean, Mike, Joe, Dave, Ninja Glock, Jarat, Zacho, and Aliun. Good to see you, Aliun. And Jason Lindsay. Are you filming a short? I'm not filming a short. I'm going to film some shorts. In fact, I think I have a short going out today. But right now, we're doing a live stream. This is Coffee and Crypto. We're going to be back on set tomorrow. I said that yesterday, but there's a very good reason why I'm not able to be on set today. As I said, we went on vacation, and we stayed at a hotel that treated us very nicely. But at that hotel, they found bed bugs. Never had that happen before. And it's been a freaking nightmare, to be honest with you. Like I said, the hotel treated us very well. They gave us a full refund, so we ended up being able to go on vacation and not spend a dime on accommodations. So that was pretty cool. But my wife kept getting bit. Eventually, my son started getting bit. And then I started getting bit. And they ended up finding them, gave us a full refund, moved us to another room, still getting bit. So they gave us a full refund for all those nights too. And so now we're trying to figure out what to do about all of that. So we got home at 4 in the morning yesterday because we ended up leaving Gatlinburg at like 7 in the afternoon because we spent all day dealing with that and trying to figure out how to pack things and how to exterminate as many of those little buggers as you possibly can. And then we got home at 4 in the morning and had to figure out how to not bring anything inside that was contaminated. So we had to basically airlock our house and bring nothing from the car inside, including the clothes we were wearing. So that was an interesting moment right there for a family. Anyway, whew, it's a mess. It's a complete mess. Yeah. So Dave said that throw away all your clothes, shoes, luggage, anything that you brought from the hotel, put it in a plastic bag and don't bring it in the house. What we're going to do, our strategy, and you guys can tell us this, and like I said, about another 45 seconds, we're going to jump into crypto. I'm not going to talk about personal stuff all day. We just wanted to give you a bit of an update. What we're going to do, we own a black car. So that thing gets hot. It gets hot. That car is hot. We parked in the driveway. We're going to let the Florida sun beat down on that sucker, let it get up to about 130 degrees in there. Hope it just nukes all of them. Then after we do that, then we'll bring this stuff inside. But that's why I'm streaming from my laptop right now, or from my phone right now, because I ain't about to go out there. I ain't about to go out there and bring in my laptop bag, have some hitchhikers, get in our very expensive home that I do not want to have to replace everything in. So, at least you were smart by not bringing anything in the house. That was my wife's idea, so shout out to Sarah. She's awesome, and that was really good. So you guys tell me if you have another strategy for that. Like I said, our idea was just nuke them in the car. I would be streaming on my laptop right now. In fact, I'd take that back. And not only would I be streaming on my laptop, I would be streaming at the office right now. But I'm not going in that car. So I'm going to be streaming from home. I'm keeping our son out of preschool today. Anyway, we probably need the rest today. Been a long trip. Let's jump into crypto. Appreciate all of you guys tuning in and listening to our little bit of personal background. Had a lot of fun. Made a lot of memories. My wife went on a water slide for the first time, like a big one. She thought it was great. So anyway, focus on the family. It was awesome. It was so great. But now we're here. So let's talk crypto. All right. Appreciate all of you guys for tuning in. I also don't even have my phone tripod, so I'm sitting here holding the phone with my arms. So let's do this. I'm here for you. I'm here for you. And I am very sorry about not being here yesterday. Like I said, that was a nightmare trying to get packed and figure out how to pack with that in mind. Again, hotel treated us awesome. Best service I've ever been given by a hotel. Like, everybody there was as awesome as they can be. Okay, somehow you figure out what hotel, I'm not going to say it, but in case you somehow figure out what hotel it was, they were awesome, but obviously that one facet was a nightmare. So, Bitcoin jumped off a cliff about 3 weeks ago, and when it did that, it fell below a very important moving average. It's called the 200 weekly simple moving average. The 200 weekly simple moving average, the 200 simple moving average is a very important simple moving average, and the reason for that is because it holds up bull markets. Again, I'll be able to show you this on the charts tomorrow, and this is something that we're going to be analyzing pretty closely, but the 200 simple moving average is the moving average that held up the bull market over the course of the 2016-17 bull market. Every time Bitcoin would go through a major rally, it would correct back to that level, and it would fall down, and it would hit that level, that uptrending level of support, and it would bounce, and it would rally, and it would continue on to the next leg of its journey. Bitcoin would generally go through about a 40% correction during that bull market, and it would pull back to that level. So that was the level that held the bull market and helped the bull market to stay aloft. And Bitcoin was able to ride that level up and up and up and up and up. And Bitcoin had been doing that over the course of this year, 2023. We had fallen back down to and tested that level of support several times. The first time was back around March the 8th to the 10th. During that time, Bitcoin fell back to just a little over $20,000, bounced off the 20 weekly moving average, 200 simple moving average on the weekly chart, on the daily chart, and I said weekly a minute ago, daily. And when it did that, Bitcoin ended up going through a major rally. We fell back down there again a little over a month ago, back around June 14th, when Bitcoin fell back down to that level. It bounced off of that level, and it was a little above that level, but it bounced off of that region and continued to rally to the upside, and the market held. The issue is, about a month ago, Bitcoin fell below the critical uptrending level of support that was holding up the entire market and the 200 daily simple moving average at the same time, falling down into this range. Ever since then, Bitcoin has been doing a whole lot of nada. It's been moving sideways around 26.3. So the question on everyone's mind becomes, where is Bitcoin going to bottom, and what is it going to take to get Bitcoin to go through a major rally once again? Let's start with the facts. The fact is we're below the uptrending level of support. The fact is we're below the 200 daily simple moving average. Both of those are levels that we would like to be able to reclaim at some point in the future, especially the 200 daily simple moving average. We've been moving sideways here due in large part to the fact that the market is boring. There's nothing really going on in the market. The biggest piece of news that we have seen in the last month was the Grayscale Grayscale winning their lawsuit against the Securities and Exchange Commission. And if you'll remember, essentially what happened there is that Grayscale had a ruling by the District Court of by the Court of the District of Columbia that the SEC was, quote, unreasonable to deny the ETF application, and that the SEC had to review the ETF application once again. That's about what we've dealt with in the last month. That's about the extent of the news. And many people, including myself, were hoping that would be the beginning of a new rally. Bitcoin rallied about $1,500 in the span of like an hour, ended up rallying like $2,000. And so it was a very exciting time. But the problem is Bitcoin Bart Simpson. And you guys can see this on your own chart again. I'm giving you the technicals from memory today. We'll be back on the charts tomorrow once I'm able to conquer the bugs and get our laptop back. Goodness gracious, it's a nightmare. And that is formed of like what I said, a Bart Simpson formation. Bitcoin rallied very aggressively and it crashed very aggressively. The market went to the upside very quickly and fell to the downside very quickly. And now we're trading around $25,700. Bitcoin trading around $25,700 is a very interesting level because right below us is a critical level of $25,236. That's a level that Bitcoin set as resistance right before FTX collapsed in on itself in a fiery, catastrophic, destructive moment. As far as all of you guys know what happened with FTX, some of you know even a lot more of the details. That level of 25,236 is a key level to look out for. And the next level below that you're going to want to look out for is right around the 22 region because there's a gap down there to be filled on CME. You can go to your trading view, type in BTC1 exclamation mark. You'll be given the CME futures. CME futures are the Bitcoin futures over on the Chicago Mercantile Exchange. If you guys don't think that getting regulatory approval on a certain kind of ETP, exchange traded product, then go to CME futures and tell me if that's not important, because we filled about 95% of the gaps that we've ever had. I don't personally fully subscribe to the fill the gap theory, but it does have some merit in the fact that it's happened almost every single time. So again, there's a gap of a couple of $1,000s below us. There's not much volatility. When there's not much volatility, what is that? That's sideways trading. What is sideways trading? Sideways trading is ultimately a form of a continuation pattern. It's almost always a form of a continuation pattern. It's a form of a bull flag or a bear flag. Right now, we are painting one massive bear flag on the daily chart, and that bear flag is doing a whole lot of nothing bullish. There's nothing coming out right now to contradict the bearishness of that bear flag. There's no massive news that's coming out. But wait a minute, Jeb. What about the grayscale ruling? That happened. Yeah. And look what that did for the price. Bitcoin rallied for a day and then crashed right back to where it started. Just kidding. Actually, it crashed to a couple $100s lower than where it started. So, you guys obviously know that I am long-term, like a permabull on Bitcoin. I believe Bitcoin is going to go up for a very long time if you give it long enough. I think that 5 years from now, 6, 10 years from now, from any point in the next 20 years, if you say this, you'll be right. Bitcoin will be significantly higher than it is right now. Significantly higher than it is right now. And so when we're dealing with Bitcoin and I say something bearish, understand that long-term I'm very bullish, and I think that whenever we go into a bearish moment like what we may be about to go into, it does mean that there is a buying or an investment opportunity. We'll talk about what that looks like in a minute. But with Bitcoin trading sideways like this, especially with the fact that we had a very bullish moment, looked for a second there like we were going to have Bitcoin get a buy signal on Lux Algo, get above trend catcher, and start going into a rally. All of that led us to the understanding that Bitcoin might go into a rally, and guess what? Again, sorry, got to bed at 4 a.m., long drive. The kids did not want to let me drive. Every 5 seconds, we needed to stop for something. Little blessings, but definitely, wow. Anyway, that was a long drive. It took us like 12 hours to get home. What was I saying? Right. So we had an opportunity for Bitcoin to go into a major rally, and then we didn't. Bitcoin tried to rally, and then it failed. And so that's very telling. When Bitcoin attempts to go into a major rally, and then it doesn't, that is a big deal. And so that brings us to right now. That brings us to where we are right now. That's kind of the history, going back, starting at the beginning of the year to where we are now. Again, 200 daily simple moving average, held multiple times, failed to hold about a month ago, fell below the uptrending level of support at the same time. We predicted that drop. I told you where it would go. It went there a couple of days after we said it. I even gave you a trade setup here on Coffee and Crypto. And tomorrow when I'm on the charts, I will be attempting to give you the same thing. But the history has been that Bitcoin had held that market structure and has not been able to ever since. And so again, that brings us to today. Where do we go next? And we shall discuss. All right. Daniel J said, all clothing needs to go in the dryer. You want to use bed bug spray in the car. Yeah, that's right. We're trying to figure out just how to tactically do stuff. Like one of our strategies, we own another vehicle that we don't drive very often. It's a minivan. And that thing gets hot. It's like a freaking pressure cooker in there. You go in there, oh man. It's genuinely, I ought to bring a thermometer in there. It's genuinely probably 120 degrees in there, 130 degrees. Everything that we don't absolutely need, we're probably just going to put in there for like 2 weeks. Just leave it in there. And then bring it in and do that, and then the bed bugs for all that, right? We do not want bed bugs in our house. That stuff sucks, man. All right. Never had it before. I never dealt with that before in my life, and I did not grow up with much. Like I'm honestly kind of surprised I never did, because I lived in motels and hotels for a lot, as far as we did a lot of that. But yeah, never had to deal with that. It was a nice hotel too. That's the thing. We didn't rent. I just want to make that clear. We went to a nice hotel. It was a nice hotel. We spent a good bit of money on that hotel. We got it all back, but you never know what's going to happen. Crypto Mini Bike in chat said, "Good morning, everybody. Glad to see you back, Jeb. I am back. Took Monday off for Labor Day. part of the reason that we took that off was also because we're dealing with this bed bug stuff. But then yesterday, like I said, it was just a nightmare, and I just needed some time to help to work with the family on figuring that out. Good deal. CW in chat. Randomness said, God bless you, Jeb. Thank you so much. Queen is in chat. Satoshin said, pull more coin off the exchanges. Queen said, love you, Pastor Jeb. Mike Lowry, love you guys too. Mike Lowry said, be careful leaving your laptop in a car with 120 degrees temps. That's true. Yes. Charge the hotel back for any damage. Yes, if anything happens, we'll let the hotel know. Don't worry. Don't worry. We're not gonna be unfair, but if we did have to end up spending money on something, we'll keep the receipts, and if it's more than like 20 bucks or something, we'll probably will send it to them. Crypto Crispy Supreme said, "What's up?" Hello, Crispy Crypto Supreme. All right. It can happen anywhere. It's a pain, but you're doing all the right things. Good. I'm glad to hear that. I was kind of hoping you guys would give me some tips. Okay. So, let's discuss further. We've talked about where Bitcoin has come. Now, what's going to happen? In my opinion, I think that you're going to potentially see, I think that there's a high likelihood that you see another drop on Bitcoin. Here are just a few reasons why. Number one, Bitcoin attempted a major break to the upside, and that failed massively. Let's just be clear. That was a big news story. Grayscale winning their application, that was a very, very, very big news story. When XRP won their case, that was a very big news story, and it didn't lead to anything bullish. It led to a short-term bounce, short-term rally, and then the market capitulated. July 15th of last month, well, actually, I guess it's September now, so a month and a half ago. So XRP won their case against the SEC. SEC is getting slammed left, right, and center. You'd think that'd be bullish. The markets tell otherwise. As you guys know from Dow theory, the markets average everything. And if the markets average everything, then that means the markets are telling us what is important and what is not. They're telling us what is bullish and what is not. They're telling us what is a positive impactor on the market and what is not. The Grayscale case being one did not end up being a very positive impactor on the market in the long run. XRP. We set the year's local high. The next day later, we started the year's largest correction. So what happens from here? You would think that we would be getting closer to the bottom, but it does not seem like that's what's occurring. Crypto Mini Bike said, yesterday was my 1 year as a member. Thanks for all you do for us, Jeb and Sarah. Thank you so much, Crypto Mini Bike. Thank you for bearing with us this last few days. I know it's been a little bit hectic. When we travel again in the future, because we will travel again in the future, we're going to find a much better solution than what we did this time. Really appreciate you tuning in at Crypto Mini Bike. Okay, so number one reason why I think Bitcoin is probably going to end up going lower is because, quite simply, Bitcoin has attempted a major breakout to the upside, and it failed miserably. Second reason, the Dixie, the dollar currency index. So I'm trying to get comfortable here because my arms are my tripod for today. Forgot about the membership chats, Mike Lowry said. 13 months. Shout out to you, Mike Lowry. Thank you so much for your support as well, guys. Yes. So, number one reason, we attempted a major break to the upside and it failed miserably. The second reason, Dixie is on a rampage right now. If you look at the dollar currency index, it's been moving up aggressively. It's sitting at 104 right now. It was down at like 97, 99, somewhere in there, about 100. It's been going through a major rally, broke a downtrend, so it's in a pretty powerful uptrend. If you guys don't know, the dollar currency index and Bitcoin are inversely correlated. Why? Well, it kind of makes sense if you think about it. Bitcoin moves in the opposite direction of its competitor. So if its competitor is doing well, it doesn't do well. If its competitor is doing poorly, then it does well. The largest competitor, I don't really look at them as competitors myself. I think they actually live hand in hand, but the majority of the market sees them as competitors, even if I don't, because I'm not the whole market. Might be a good bit of the market, but I'm not the whole market. See them as competitors, where if the dollar is doing well, that necessitates that Bitcoin does poorly, and if Bitcoin is doing poorly, then that necessitates that the market is probably doing well, the dollar market. And so the dollar market, the dollar is doing very well right now, beating the currencies that it's valued against on the Dixie. At the same time, the stock market is seeing quite a lot of volatility. Some people are wondering whether or not this rally that we've been in over the course of the last 6-8 months is going to be able to continue. There's a head and shoulders pattern that could potentially be forming. Again, we'll look at those charts tomorrow in more detail. But there's some uncertainty in the stock market, which is the most bullish correlated, the most positive correlation that Bitcoin has. If the stock market goes up, Bitcoin goes up. If the stock market goes down, Bitcoin goes down. That's traditionally what happens. If the Dixie goes down, Bitcoin goes up. If the Dixie goes up, Bitcoin goes down. It's inversely correlated. Positive correlation on the stock market, specifically the SPY, the SP, for whatever reason, probably because it is the market, right? And then there's an inverse correlation there between the Dixie and Bitcoin. Dixie's been rallying aggressively. That creates sell pressure on the Bitcoin market because it means that people are becoming more and more confident in the dollar market, which means that they have less of an incentive to go and look into Bitcoin because people mainly invest in Bitcoin as a hedge against the dollar. If they think the dollar is doing well, then they don't have as much of an incentive to buy the Bitcoin market, to buy Bitcoin. Stock market has a little bit of uncertainty right now, especially after Jackson Hole. And so people aren't really sure whether they want to invest in risky tech stocks, which is what they also see Bitcoin as. You got to realize the majority of the market sees Bitcoin as a risky tech stock or a gold alternative that's an inflation hedge. People either go Kevin O'Leary route and say, oh, it's software and I'm going to invest in the next greatest tech stock, which is not necessarily an incorrect view. I think that's accurate. Or they look at it as an inflation hedge. So you got all the gold bugs trying to get into it if they end up ditching gold and they're like they're Zoomer gold bugs. Like that's who you have. You have the Zoomer and the millennial gold bugs that are saying, gold's out of style. It inflates 2% a year anyway because they mine more gold. Going to buy Bitcoin instead. Those are two markets. Neither one of those are very excited about Bitcoin right now. You know why? Because tech stocks, not a very fancy looking investment at all right now with the current state of interest rates in the United States and the debt market and how difficult it is to get good financing. I personally try to avoid debt as much as I possibly can, but our financial system runs on a lot of it. So when you have upstart tech companies trying to get investment and funding, and they're trying to get loans, and they can't really afford to do as much as they used to do because the interest rates are so much higher, then that ends up causing a dearth of growth in the tech companies, which impacts Bitcoin. So those two correlated factors lead to Bitcoin not doing very well. Let's take a second, read some chat. Queen said, Jeb, let me see your blanket. This is one of our Christmas blankets. It's cold in this house. I don't know why. We left the AC really, really low. I think probably because of Florida. We didn't want it to get too hot. Scotty Moe said, Jeb, Piano Matty B just played an old rap video with you at the end of his stream. It's so money. I'll have to go look at that. Was it the one where, let's see, I'm running on 4 hours of sleep, and I've had no coffee. And I did have coffee on the trip, so I'm in the middle of caffeine withdrawal. Took a minute now. I'm at the better end of all of it today. I want to quit to be a better one as well because a minute when I said it wasn't really that one. Was that the one he was doing? If you guys want me, I can sing the whole thing. But anyway, so yes, Bitcoin was going through a major drop anyway as a result of technicals on the Bitcoin market. But now we've got the Dixie and the S&P sabotaging things, and so now we have I remember Piano Matty B making that. That was really cool. Shout out to Piano Matty B. That was a cool video. Justin Eubanks in chat said, yo, Crypto Jeb, good morning, bro. What's up, my friend? Hello. So, Bitcoin from here probably goes through a correction. Again, there is that gap down there. We're so close to the gap at this point that you got to think we're going to fill it. We're sitting above 25,236. That's the level to look out for. You can go ahead and put it on your chart. $25,236. Hugely important level of support. If we break through that, we're probably moving down into the low 23s to the high 22s. Again, the gap, I don't remember the exact level down there, but I think it's in the 22s. That gap down there is going to be our target. And again, we will look at that more closely on our charts tomorrow. I want to say it's around the mid-22,000s. So, here's the good news. The good news, yes, that was me, Crypto Surge. The good news is that there's also a gap up in the high 40s. So, if the theory holds that Bitcoin always fills CME futures gaps, well, there's a gap $10,000 higher. It's like maybe $15,000 higher. I don't have that number memorized, but I think it's in the mid-40s, higher than our current yearly high, which means that if we do fill the gap, and this has been my theory for the last 2 months, people have been saying we're going to fill that gap, and now it kind of looks like we might. If we do end up filling that gap, and by the way, the reason that I don't always subscribe to the idea, I'm a little bit of a skeptic about the fill the gap theory, is because if there's people say that it has to happen. I don't like it when people say that something has to happen in a market. The market doesn't have to do anything. But we should also consider the fact that it's a very, 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 very high likelihood statistically that Bitcoin does fill the gap. So if Bitcoin does fill the gap again, it's a great investment opportunity. I think Bitcoin will stay in the 20s. I don't see Bitcoin going down into the teens. It could happen as a result of lack of interest in the market, but I don't think it will. I think that we've gotten closer to the halving. I think that we've got more interest in Bitcoin right now than we have in a good long while, and I'm talking good interest this time, not just, oh my gosh, Luna's collapsing, oh my goodness, Three Arrows Capital, oh my gosh, Celsius, oh no, FTX. I think we've got some actual solid, profitable interest in the market. And being a market insider, I can also tell you that many of the people in this industry are using the lingo of, oh, when the bull market comes back post-halving. That's kind of the theorem in the industry, in the cryptocurrency industry. I'm talking about sponsors. I'm talking about some of the companies that you guys know. Those are the names that I'm talking about that are thinking that way. Many of the advertisers on the marketing side of things are talking about things as in the light of when the halving comes and the crypto winter ends. It's not an if, it's a when. That's what people are saying. And so the only reason that that matters is because those are the same people that are trading. Those are the same people that are putting money into the market and taking money out. And so when the market believes that there's going to be this major rally and they're making investment decisions around that and guess what? Buying because they think there's going to be a massive rally, then that creates buy-side pressure, and that drives the investment of capital into the Bitcoin market as a result of the expectation that there's going to be a rally. And then when you do get to the halving, even if you have a drop for the day that it happens and it's a sell the rumor kind of event, you still have all that pent-up buy pressure that ends up moving us to a higher level than we've ever seen this year, and that can allow us to go higher. Good questions in chat. Francisco Bravo said, Jeeb. Yeah, so we'll ask Jeeb this question. Jeeb, I've got a question for you. Francisco asks, which is a good entry level if Bitcoin drops below 25.2? Okay, he's saying probably like 24.9. I think the reason he's saying that is because 25.236 is a level, but 25K is also a level. It's very possible that Bitcoin ignores 25.236, bounces at 25, and that's the bottom. If that occurs, you don't want to get into a trade and have to get back out of the trade. So it's probably 24.9, 24.850. Sorry, 24.850 might be a good level. And your exit, you'd probably set the exit a couple $1,000s lower than that, but you would also rely on a trailing stop loss. As you guys know, a big part of my trading strategy is use a trailing stop loss. I typically recommend starting at a 0.1% trailing stop loss and then going up from there if you need to. But starting at that 0.1% trailing stop loss to protect yourself. Typically, if you're setting up your technical, if you're doing your technicals, you know your fundamentals, and you're setting up your trade profitably, you're going to at least get a 0.1% profit off of your entry. I'm talking spot here, not on leverage. I'm talking 1x leverage on spot, not like using leverage. You can use leverage, but you just adjust the numbers based on the ratios here using 1x leverage. You would end up more than likely getting 0.1%. But again, I would set that entry below 25K and then give a little bit of room to run, because sometimes you see a wick down and you kind of want to avoid some of that too statistically. Based on my experience, I would say 24.8500 would be a good short entry if you're looking to short the next leg down. And we will explore that trade setup even more on tomorrow's episode of Coffee and Crypto Live. I may adjust that number with the charts right in front of me because this is all going from memory, but I think that's probably what I would end up saying even with the charts right in front of me. I've been looking at the charts, I've been looking at the charts today, I just don't have them right in front of me because I'm not able to go off of the screen while I'm live streaming. Again, I do apologize for the phone. I will do my very best to not stream on my phone if at all possible, but it was either stream on my phone or not have a stream today. So here we are. I do not want to miss Coffee and Crypto. I don't like missing Coffee and Crypto. It eats me up. I love being here with you guys, and it's very exciting. So I've kind of thrown my hat in with the idea that we're going to see a drop below 25K at this point, unless Bitcoin can do something to prove me wrong. Unless Bitcoin can do something to prove me wrong where it starts a new uptrend. But the tricky thing is here, guys, Bitcoin is just in this slow, boring, deadly grind down. There's no, oh man, we've rallied $500 today. Yeah, awesome. There's no, all right, good. We ended up, and I'm messing with you, Francisco, I don't mind. Francisco, is it Francisco, or do I need to put the probably butchered pronunciation of Francisco? Francisco. Isn't that a character's name from Cars too? Francisco Ruvali, or whatever his name is. He's Italian. Francesco, that was his name. His name's Francesco. Francesco. Francisco. Welcome to Coffee and Crypto. Coffee and Crypto. You can tell I've had no sleep. So, again, what does Bitcoin do from here? Bitcoin more than likely, Francisco saying lol, and I promise you he's not laughing with me. Oh, man. You know, it's funny. When you have kids, like I was already like this anyway, but when you have kids, it's so easy to make fun of yourself. Because, I mean, that's like literally the whole way you entertain your children. Just making fun of yourself. Again, I was like that anyway, but I never really cared what people thought. But, yeah. All right. So, Bitcoin probably drops from here. A couple of other things that I want to share with you, and we're just going to go ahead and put somebody in timeout real quick. Not going to be shilling other people's telegrams, especially if it's somebody I've never heard of, because if it's somebody I've never heard of, it might not be somebody that you want to follow. Just going to be honest. I know everybody that's reputable in the industry. All right. And there's a lot of good people in the industry. Yes, so a couple of other things. Inflation and interest rates. Inflation right now is sitting at 3.2%. We're going to be seeing an update on that in about a week, somewhere in there. About a week. It should be next Wednesday, actually, a week from today. I'll have to look into that. I want to say the next CPI data release will be a week from today. It's normally on a Wednesday. Normally on a Wednesday at 8:30 a.m. It's always 8:30 a.m. Normally on a Wednesday. Normally on the second Wednesday of the month. So I'm thinking it's going to be next week. We moved from 3% a month and a half ago, about 2 months ago, to 3.2% last CPI release. If you've been watching our channel, you know that number is going to go up. It's going to go up quite a bit. And the reason for that is because the only reason that inflation managed to get down to 3% is because we saw a huge amount of deflation in gasoline prices. Gasoline prices were averaging $5 a gallon, $4.95 a gallon nationwide. Is on your side. Except this time it's not on your side. It's on the side of bankrupting you if you're trying to drive anywhere. Golly. Especially if you're like my poor father-in-law who gets 6 miles to the gallon because he drives a giant 15-passenger van and tows a giant trailer behind it and drives to Michigan and back every few months. Oh my goodness, that guy spends a lot of money on gas. Oof. He was also, yeah. From there, we're also going to see a pretty big spike on inflation. And a big reason for that is because the data's trailing off. The data's dropping off. If you look at the last 6 months, the inflation on gasoline prices has averaged out to a yearly average of like 15%, if not more. When that 12 month ago's data continues to drop off, it's already started, but when it continues, and 12 month ago's data is the price is lower than where it is now, which that'll occur probably around October. So we're talking a month from now. You're going to go from seeing negative 18%, or 18% deflation, negative 18% inflation, however you want to look at it, negative 18% movement year over year on gasoline CPI, and also on many of the other components of energy. So we're looking at natural gas pipes. You're looking at fuel oils. You're looking at all those others. They're doing the same thing. It's the same market. It's just easier to see in gas because it's a number that you see every single day driving down the road. And so you can track this with me. I mean, I don't know about you. How many times did you look at a gasoline sign and say, I wonder, you're doing market analysis while you're driving down the road. You're like, look, honey, listen, the price went down 10 cents. Oh, wait, no, that's just their thing if you have their credit card. Crap. No, it didn't move. All right. You know that you're a market analyst even before you ever got into crypto because you watched the gasoline prices, right? So that's the first market that anybody ever analyzes. I was analyzing that market when I was like 6 years old. I'm like, Dad, look, gas is up to $2 a gallon. Go over there. Go buy some gas. I remember when I was 8, I was like, Dad, if gas goes up this much, is it a good idea to just like get 1,000 gallons of like 50-gallon drums and just buy a bunch of gas and store it for like 40 years and then sell it one day? I was like 8 years old, a little entrepreneur in my brain, like, Dad, we can play this market. We can play this market. We make some money here. The entrepreneur in me was coming out. I might have been like 10. I remember that, though. We lived in South Florida. Anyway, so the reason that that's so significant is because you're going to see a massive spike on gasoline. You're going to see gasoline prices go up. They've already been going up. National average, like 365, 370, somewhere in there. It's gone up from about 330, where we dropped to. Again, these are all the numbers and data in my head. Could be off by a few percentage points here and there, but I think I'm pretty much spot on that. You guys can check into that. I want to say the national average right now is in the high, it's definitely right around 375, somewhere in there. With those numbers going up, again, last 6 months or so, we've averaged like 15% annual inflation, while CPI is rating negative 20% because there's all that data skewing things on the first 2 months, the 2 months that are about to drop off too. In the next 60 days, you're going to see inflation on gas go from negative, and you're going to see this, and you're going to be like, Jeb told me this is going to happen. You're going to see those numbers drop off. It's guaranteed at this point. This is going to happen. This is not one of those things that you can say, oh, is it going to happen? Is it not? The gasoline market does not move that fast, funnily enough, because it powers things to do. But when that occurs and gas prices go up, you're going to see that inflation on energy go from like negative 12% cumulatively right now, or whatever it is, negative 13, 14%, somewhere in there, negative low teens, to flatlining zero, to even going back into inflation. And if you know how inflation works, you have your core items. Those are your travel, your car insurance, your housing costs. Those are your clothes. Those are all those items. And then you have food and energy, two of the major categories of any modern industrial economy. Food is relatively high right now. Energy is low enough that it's bringing the average down to 3.2%, but that's about to flip, and energy is probably about to be 3 to 5% inflation in its own right. So you're going to see inflation jumping by 0.5 to 1 percentage points both of the next prints. You will probably see inflation sitting at least 3.5% on this next movement. That is going to spook people, because most people don't know what I just told you. This is not insider information. It's just information in the charts, in the data, that is not being talked about. But it's coming. And it's coming very, very soon. And when that inflation spikes, even by just 1%, it's going to spook people, and it's going to make people realize, oh, wait a minute, I understand why the Fed is still so hawkish about the market. I thought inflation was under control. 3% is not that bad. 3.2% is not that bad. Target 2, 1.2% above that. We can let that gradually come down over the next 2 years, right? We can kind of work with this, let the economy work itself out. We can deal with this, right? But then when it jumps to 4.3, people are going to say, oh, crap, are we going back to 10% again? No, we're not. But that's going to be the sentiment. The sentiment is going to shift in 60 days from inflation's getting under control, we're looking good, everything's fine, to wait a minute, it just jumped 1% or more in 60 days. Crap, we're seeing another massive inflationary cycle. And you know what that does? That leads all the small business owners who might not be following this very closely to raise their prices because they want to beat the inflation. And you actually end up getting a self-fulfilling prophecy where, because inflation is going up, inflation is going up. It's a little bit like the Kardashians. They are famous because they're famous. Why are they famous? I don't know. Maybe it's because they're famous. Why is inflation going up? Maybe it's because inflation is going up. And so it spooks everybody into raising their prices to beat the next guy downtown. And all of a sudden, you're paying $10 for half a pound of ham at your local Hitchcock's. Oh, wait a minute. That already happened. Oh, man. So, yeah. Inflation is about to start going up again. I don't think it'll hit 10% again. Not even close. But it's probably going to go back up to the low 4s, if not the mid 4s. And so it could just be like a, how do you want to say, a bear trap for anybody that thought inflation was going up. But it's going to spook people. It's going to probably cause a drop in the stock market, probably going to cause a rally in the Dixie, and probably going to not be that great for Bitcoin. Sadly, because most people should be looking into Bitcoin when there is high inflation, because Bitcoin is a strong hedge against inflation. That being said, of course, some people will buy Bitcoin on this because they think, oh man, Bitcoin is going through a major The inflation's going up. We thought it was getting under control. More broken trust in the dollar and in the stability of the dollar. More broken trust in the Fed. Broken trust in the Fed and in the dollar a lot of times leads to trust in Bitcoin. It's sad that it has to be an either or, but it really, just the way it works, kind of is. And so if the dollar's not doing well and inflation is going up, then that's good for Bitcoin. So how does this all line up into one comprehensive theory that you can walk away from this video with? We've discussed quite a lot, but how do you take this as a 30-second elevator pitch when you're trying to explain this to someone? What's the sound bite here? Here's the sound bite. Bitcoin is going through a major rally this year, and for reasons that we don't fully know and we doesn't really matter, Bitcoin went through a massive crash, broke below uptrending level of support. That's very important. Broke below the very important level of support, the 200 daily simple moving average. We had a court case settled, huge bullish, decisive victory. Ended up with Bitcoin being lower than where it started after that. So it shows that Bitcoin's very weak right now. The next major level of support is $25,236 to $25,000, that zone, $236 zone. Bitcoin falls below there, which very well may. It goes down and fills the Bitcoin CME futures gap in the mid 22. Someone can correct me on the number down there. It's in the first quarter of the 22 region. I'll show you the chart tomorrow. I don't have that number memorized. I have most of them, but it'll fall down there, a couple $1,000. But then guess what? Then, because if we do fall down there, it'll probably be in the next few weeks. From there, and we might even start falling when inflation goes up. That's a point. Next week, a week from now, when CPI data comes out, if inflation goes up to 3.7, that might be the bearish news that we need. Short-term bearish news. Long-term, it should actually be bullish for Bitcoin, but that might be the short-term bearish news that we need to drop Bitcoin that low. And then, hopefully, with inflation being a little bit higher and taking probably several more months, if not a year, to come back down to 3.2% in the future, that gives the buy pressure that we need going into halving to encourage people to buy Bitcoin. Because they say, hey, look, inflation went to 9.5% overnight as a result of the lockdowns last year. That freaked you out, right? But then it got back under control and everything was good. Everything was hunky-dory. And then it started going up again. How many times is it going to go up? I'm not trying to be a fearmonger. I'm just saying these are the conversations that you're going to see happening all over the place. I thought inflation was dealt with. You have Joe Biden on 60 Minutes saying, guess what, guys? Inflation might be bad, but it's not as bad as it was. Right? Right? True. I'll give that to you. Like, fair. But it's still a problem. So you end up having the perfect scenario for a drop on Bitcoin of potentially a few $1,000s, and then the perfect storm scenario over the next 6 to 12 months of Bitcoin having this backdrop of higher inflation that leads people in the short term to be scared and sell, causing a drop to get good buy-in opportunities. And then from there, as people start to, think about it more, oh, crap, well, if inflation is going up, maybe I shouldn't sell my Bitcoin. Oh, no, maybe I should have held on to that. Oh, crap, I missed my entry. And then they buy it, and then you have buy pressure that leads Bitcoin to the upside. I think that might be where we're going. And to be honest with you, I think that's an interesting world. Because if Bitcoin does go through one final drop, and this is the last major drop before halving, coming up in late quarter one, early quarter two of next year. We don't know the exact date yet, of course. If that occurs, then that ends up being a remarkable scenario for Bitcoin. It ends up, first of all, with you having a great buying opportunity down around $22,000 to $23,000. Excellent buying opportunity. Even in this market, we managed to rally to $31,500, $31,800. So you can make 50% if you go back there. If you buy in at 22, 40%, 43%, whatever. It's a great deal in the span of probably less than a year. Not going to make that anywhere else. It's good to have a foundation of investment in the stock market for just, future proofing, but you're gonna beat that in crypto if you know what you're doing. And then you end up having a perfect storm scenario where Bitcoin does very well moving into the halving cycle. So it's exciting. Literally just got through dealing with bed bugs. They got into everything. Came from a neighbor's unit. Had to get a heat treatment. Man, those things are annoying. For anybody who doesn't know, you can go back to the first of the stream and watch what happened there. Gas is back up in South Florida. Yep, it's been going up. Small Kit Kat said, I'm new. Sorry. Sadly, sorry. Nothing to be sorry about. Welcome, Small Kit Kat. welcome to the channel, welcome to crypto, welcome to whatever it is you're new in. Thank you for being here. Appreciate you tuning in. Grand Roofing Incorporated in chat said, hey Jeb, good to see you, Grand Roofing. Appreciate you for being here. Again, apologies for being on my phone. It was the best I could do today because we've got to figure out how to get rid of some boogies, but we'll figure it out. God's good. We trust him. Guys, I really do appreciate all of you tuning in and bearing with me over the last few days. As I said, we're still trying to figure out exactly how we're going to travel and make sure content comes out, whether that's me pre-recording content or that's me finding a better solution to doing content during the trip itself. We're going to figure all of that out. Still learning, but you guys are kind of coming with me as I learn to run a small business with a wife and 2 children while being very young. We're figuring a lot of things out. We're learning a lot. Very excited about where our life is going. Very excited about what we're able to do with financial sovereignty in our own life. Very excited what we're able to share with you guys. Hope you guys did enjoy today's stream. If any of you guys have any final questions, feel free to ask them. But I am going to go. I really do appreciate all of you for tuning in. Before I go, I do just first want to thank each and every single last one of you for watching, as always. And I will see you guys in the next video. Peace.